This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more. And if it's Tuesday, it's always Giving Tuesday. Always give to your favorite charities, no matter who they are or what they may be. And with that, I was just texting Matt because he was waiting for the login, even though I sent it to him. So I'm doing many things at once as usual. But first off, I got to kick this off. All right, so Howard Wiggins, all the way, actor, dapper, one of the world's best leading interior designers, and he really is, and art lover, art owner. The one and only Howard Wiggins from Brentwood, Tennessee, and vocally Tosh, dancer, songwriter. She creates our flyers. I couldn't do this without her. She's all around a cool chick, and I love her progress and all the stuff that she's doing all the way from Miami, Florida, vocally Tosh. And with that, it's one of the things where I've been looking forward to this show because this is our 101st show, live show in a row. And when I was at Toy Fest, I met these two beautiful women. I call them women because they are, because of what they're doing. But also, you know, it was fun to meet their mom because they were so professional. And I'm like, but they're just teens. I thought they were little girls, but they're not. But there was the brand, it was the product that they had that really touched me about being happiness, small bits of kind of happiness, things like that. I really loved that a great deal. And that made me happy when it came to all of this. So, you know, you've got the CEO. You got that founder, you got the co-founder, you got the person who puts up the interviews. I got to call them Mercedes and Anastasia Korngut. And so girls, I should say ladies, because you are CEOs and founders. So, you know, they're no different from what we do with all the stuff that we're doing. And it is about small happiness in the daily life. And I really like that. But hold that thought because we have to bring in someone else who's happy too. So I'm glad to meet this guy. I got to call him a young man because when we were moving our friend in Vegas, you know, I just thought he was an ordinary guy. He's a nice guy. But, you know, the more we started talking about stuff, I'm like, wow, Matt's a really cool guy. And then so it turns out at that point, he's more than what I thought. You know, I'm not used to being surprised by anything. But when he surprised me, he goes, oh, I'm a professional poker player and I love to raise money for charities. I said, I like this guy. I like him even more. And I don't even play poker. I don't, you know, that's like, you couldn't pay me to do that. I admire what it is. And the woman who was turning me on to it, remember the Matt, who's the woman, the name that I couldn't remember, it was Jennifer Tilley. She's the one that said, Brian, you need to play poker. I said, no, I'm going to leave that to you guys. But, you know, I like the fact of this. You know, he's that founder, he's that president, the charity series of poker. He's won over $10 million. But that's not the important thing. The important thing, he's got a cool-ass son named Asher. And I really like his son. His son is artistic, and I like kids who are artistic. They mean something to me. And so I was glad that Matt was able to bring his son down to Toy Fest where I met Mercedes and Anastasia. And that made me happy when it comes to that. But when you're running like successful poker tournaments and you're raising money for St. Jude's Hospital, Joe DiMaggio, Children's Hospital, Golden Knights, the Raiders, you know, Habit of Habitats, the list goes on and on, 3 Square Meals. Matt, I do this off the top of my head. But those are great things. And he's an East Coast guy. And I think that's one thing. I'm from Connecticut, and I can't remember if he's from Boston or New Jersey or wherever. Where are you from, Matt?
Jersey.
All right. So
Bayonne,
you can't.
New Jersey.
That's right. The Bayonne Bridgeman. But with that, the one and only Mr. Rubber Fist, Matt Stout. So the good thing, like, we got to start with the ladies first. Mercedes, Anastasia. Let's talk about happiness, because immediately I wanted to put Matt on because of the love that he has for the son, the love that he has for when it comes to raising money for charities and things like that. I thought they would go together. And I had you guys booked for a while. And I'm like, Matt's so busy. I'm like, how do I get this guy in? And I'm like, oh, it'll fit in with this. So talk about small bits of happiness, why that's important, because everybody needs it now, right, Tosh? Right, Howard?
Yes, well, we are so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having us. We started Small Bits of Happiness 3 years ago, actually tomorrow, which is so funny to think about because it's come so far. But Anastasia and I are both teenagers. I'm 16.
I'm 14.
And so we both know firsthand the difficulties of finding happiness and feeling happy as a teenager, as well as at any age. And we, current events has only made it more challenging to feel happy in terms of like pandemic, war, climate change, all these different stressors that are constantly happening in our world. So we started Small Bits of Happiness with the mission of just helping individuals of all ages, specifically teens, find more happiness in everyday life by focusing on the small good things, because that really helped Anastasia and I feel happier. Like, for example, the happiness that comes from watching the sunset, or from going on a walk with your family, or from even eating an little piece of chocolate or some ice cream. Those are all just small ways to find more happiness in every day. So we focus on helping individuals of all ages build happiness habits, learn what brings them happiness, and connecting parents with their kids or teens through our happiness wellness products and our online content. Like you said, our interviews that we've got put together as well in our podcast. And yeah, we just want to help everyone find a little bit more happiness.
Tosh, we can't get any better than that. So, their podcast, which I hope they invite me one day, because I got a lot of happiness to tell them, is Hack Your Harness Happiness Podcast. Hack Your Happiness Podcast. I just love that name. Vocally, Tosh, tell them who you are. Tell Matt who you are, where you're coming from.
Yes, so hello everyone. I'm Natasha Rumboz, or as Brian calls me, Vocally Tosh, because that's my Instagram handle. I'm a Latin pop singer-songwriter based in Miami. And I've been doing radio with Brian since the pandemic. And then I've been also had a chance to do some radio in New York in La Mega 97.5. And now doing some local radio here in Miami with a Kingdom Media Group. So I'm a woman of just always trying to be involved in the entertainment industry. My number one passion is music. So I do a lot of Spanish music, a lot of uplifting music. You hear all my songs and they're like beats that just make you want to get up and be happy. So it kind of relates a lot to what you guys are talking about, little bits of happiness, just trying to, bring more happiness into the world, and with music, which is the most beautiful thing. And I gotta say, Mercedes, the way you talk is I feel like I'm listening to a 25-year-old. Your energy, the way you present yourself and talk is just so amazing and so beautiful. And I'm so happy you guys did that, because honestly, we need these rays of sunshine in our everyday life, because, you are right. There are a lot of things that happen in this world that can kind of bring us down. And, even the smallest thing that we can do for ourselves can bring us happiness. So you guys are on an amazing route. And I'm so happy that you're here to share this with us.
Oh, and then, thank you. That's so sweet. Sorry.
And then Howard Wiggins. Howard's in Tennessee, so sometimes he has a storm. Sometimes it's weird. So Howard, tell them who you are, because I'm happy when Howard is dancing, because when he's dancing, he makes everybody happy. His dancing videos, 9 seconds, 20 seconds, have gotten thousands and thousands of views on our channel. Howard, and he makes a lot of people. So all right, so Howard, tell them who you are. Take your thing off and mute and tell them who you are, why you're one of the best of what you are.
Yeah, I'm Howard Wiggins. I'm was one of the world's 35 leading interior designers. I'm living a happy life. I'm on the other end of the spectrum, where I'm 70, almost 71 in September, and I live for happiness. I think that's the number one thing that keeps somebody young and all. And I commend you for especially a teenager, because being a teenager is tough. I remember it. And you kind of show your independence then. You kind of feel alienated from your parents at that time, because you're trying to get your independence. So I'm all for that. And it's a tough world. It really is, especially growing up in the media like you are doing, where everybody kind of gets in little cliques and can gang up on somebody or spread gossip on somebody. And it's hard to get rid of. So it's a lot more pressure on you than it was on me. But I commend you a great deal for doing that. So, but like I said, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I like to just get out and dance, be happy, and have a fun time and live my life, because I know it's going to be short and it goes by quick the older you get. So why not? And I could care less what anybody thinks.
And Howard, real quick before we go to Matt, talk about what room you're in.
I'm in the living room. Those are Blackamoors behind me. There's actually 3 pair. Prince Charles has a pair on his yacht. I have a pair, and there's a pair in a $1 million bathroom. So, and they were done in the 1920s. So,
and so for everybody, the reason why I asked what Remy's in, because only one show, and Tosh will attest to this, has he had whatever rooms he's had, and I haven't been to Howard's house yet, they're never the same. They're always different. So that's why I have to ask.
I just do different angles. That's all.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's all about the angles.
Yeah.
All right. So Matt, when you created this great, grassroots volunteer based on organizations and being that premier, National Society of, when it comes to series of charities for poker and things like that, that must not have been easy, especially you growing up on the East Coast to where you are now.
Yeah, it's been quite a progression. This kind of started when I saw the great work my brother was doing as president of Habitat for Humanity at Johns Hopkins, and went down to Baltimore and saw how much, I grew up lower middle class, but I saw how much worse people had it out there in Baltimore, and all the houses that they were helping to rebuild. And it always made me happy to be able to help people less fortunate. So I ended up becoming vice president of Habitat for Humanity at my college, the College of New Jersey. And when I was 19 and the topic of what are we going to do to raise money this semester came up as a sophomore, I was just like, oh, sure, I'm going to run a charity poker event, kind of tongue in cheek, thinking that I wouldn't be able to get the administration to sign off on it. And they said that as long as all the money was going straight to the charity and we had donated prizes and we weren't doing cash payouts, they were like, oh, we don't see the problem. I was like, all right, let's make this happen. We got 50 people to show up and spend over $1,000, which is tough when you're working with broke college kids. So we raised over $1,000 for our campus chapter, and I started playing poker for a living a couple of years later after I turned 21. So it was always in the back of my mind as something that I wanted to do to be able to give back. So in 2014, I had developed some pretty good connections with Borgata in Atlantic City and MGM Property, and then Hard Rock Hollywood in Florida, which is owned by the Seminoles. They both were sponsoring me as a professional poker player and just paying me to help promote all their tournaments. So I leveraged that relationship to get them to give us free food and beverage, discounted tournament fees, and just list our events for Habitat and food banks alongside their big World Poker Tour events. So that we would be able to kind of piggyback on their marketing, and we would do it when all my friends were in town for the big tournaments. And so we ended up spending 20 grand of my money, 15 grand of my friends' money over the first 3 years, and we raised $350,000 for the charities, which was a pretty good ROI. And once Daniel Negreanu saw how well that was doing, he's the biggest name poker player in the world, for those that don't know. He had founded a St. Jude Children's Research Hospital event a few years before that, right around the time that I started my series. And when he saw how successful my events were getting, he asked me to take over his event. I told him to get the Golden Knights involved, and he said that the Golden Knights wanted to sponsor the event, but they also wanted to run their own charity poker tournaments. They didn't know how, so they wanted to talk to me. And I grew up playing hockey. I have a beer league hockey game in 3 hours, so I'm obsessed with hockey, and that was a very big deal for me. I couldn't believe he said it, and I was just like, Daniel, please tell me you're not messing with me. So I've made some televised World Poker Tour and World Series of Poker final tables, and I don't get nervous playing for life-changing money on TV, but I got nervous for this meeting because I really wanted to make sure I nailed it, and because I knew that this was the opportunity to really make this charity a lot bigger, become a national name, start doing events for St. Jude, Make-A-Wish, the Golden Knights, the Raiders, what it's become now, where everyone's knocking down my door saying, hey, I work with this charity, and we do this, and we want to help. We need help running a charity poker event, because a lot of people know that it's one of the best ways possible to raise money for charity, but they don't know the first thing. They don't know how to get gaming clearance. They don't know how to make sure that it's run professionally and maximizes the raise. So we integrate raffles and silent auctions and a whole VIP reception. Now we've even been doing some comedy shows. We have a comedy show this weekend, Friday night at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, benefiting the Embracing Project. And then Saturday, we're going to do a charity poker event at Via Brazil Steakhouse. So you can check out all of our events at charityseriesofpoker.org. We got plenty coming up. We started out doing 3 a year. This year, I might, it's going to be close to 20 if we don't hit 20. So it's gotten out of control, and it's becoming a full-time job. I've kind of put playing poker on the back burner so that I can focus on trying to help as many nonprofits as I can achieve their fundraising goals.
Ladies, what do you think about that? I mean, that's why I wanted to get him on. I'm like, just hearing what he's saying is like, he's lucky to be here, especially he's got to play hockey in 3 hours.
That's amazing. So
Oh, yeah.
But you're helping so many people through like what
Thank
you
you.
love and playing poker as your passion. I think that's amazing.
Combining the two of them together to help people, but at the same time, you're happy and you're doing what you love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun too, because it's the most fun way I can possibly imagine raising money for charity. A lot of people have to attend these boring gala dinners and they get sick of them, and this gives them something a little fun and different to do. And you can raise you can win some nice cash prizes or the opportunity to play with celebrities, and we have different things that our donor network has given us along the way so that we have some extra prizes and can raise as much as we can, give out donated prizes, and send as much of the cash as we can to the beneficiary.
So Mercedes and vocally Tosh and Anastasia, Matt was at the Toy Fest with his son, but he didn't get a chance to. I don't think he got to your booth because his son was running around. His son got to like 3 or 4 booths, and I was happy because anything can happen when you're kids. You go here, you go there. But that's why I was glad I wanted to have you guys on, because I love Toy Fest. I think it's great, and I always remind people, what was the #1 movie last year besides that beat Oppenheimer, which was Barbie? Where did it come from? The toy world. So I was glad that everybody was there. I was glad that Matt made it down with his busy schedule, because technically he shouldn't made it. He almost didn't make it, but I was glad that he did come, so it was funny. Talk about being at Toy Fest. What was that like?
Yeah, I think that Toy Fest was a really amazing experience. I mean, we were able to talk to so many amazing people like yourself. We were able to talk to also a lot of the other vendors there. There were a lot of really interesting people who were also, distributors, as well as, just a lot of people who had so much experience in the field, and it was really interesting to be there to learn from them as well.
And I think it was really interesting to see like the emerging toy trends, because toys are so much fun, and I really enjoyed seeing like what I would have enjoyed playing with when I was younger, and even like the current fun new toys that people are coming up with or putting new spins on old things. Even like the Lego booth, for instance, I loved that booth because I just thought it was so cool to see what they're coming up with. And yeah, I loved it. It was a wonderful experience.
Talk about what it is that are, because we do need to make teens, actually, I say kids, happy in general, because it's one of these things where they need happiness. I'm talking to a lot of them cross country. I'm in North Carolina right now. Next week I'll be in, where am I next week? Oh, I'm in LA for 4 days before I go to Tennessee for the month for stuff. And I keep running into them, and I'm always asking, what do you want to do? I've actually had kids interview for us for what we're doing in Houston, Texas, and they inspired me because they knew what they wanted to do already. They wanted to be one wanted to be attorney, one a scientist, one a NASA astronaut. And I'm like, good for you guys. And they wrote an article on us, and I was like, you guys have encouraged me. I felt more honored that they interviewed me than the other way around. And that gave me hope for where we are today. What does this do for you two when it comes to thinking? And Anastasia, talk about booking your podcast for you guys, what that's like also.
Yeah, I mean, our podcast, like booking our podcast, we reach out to a lot of amazing individuals, and I think it's so amazing to get a response as well as to talk to them and truly see what brings them more happiness.
Yeah, like some of our guests have included like top NASCAR driver like Tony Breidinger, most decorated Olympic athlete in Canada, Penny Alexiak. We've had like Marissa Meyer, a New York Times best-selling author. We've had the opportunity to speak to such a wide variety of people.
And it's so amazing to speak to them and see, what brings them happiness, but as well as connect with them on a level, because they can be so iconic and so, such an amazing role model for teens and individuals of all ages. But sometimes you don't exactly see them as people just like us. And it's just so amazing to also have that kind of relatability and learn about, what they've been through as a person and how you can learn from that and move forward. And I think that our podcast is such an amazing experience for the both of us.
And to learn, one of my favorite questions that we ask people is, what's one piece of advice that you would give your teenage self? And to hear what everyone would tell like their younger self in the same place as we are and where a lot of our audience is so interesting, because it really brings you back to like, wow, they really have experienced similar things to all of us.
And you know, fun. Very commonly they'll always say, I wish I was less hard on myself. And I feel like it's such a great reminder when you're being a little bit more hard on yourself and you're saying, you know, maybe it's time for me to relax a little bit, to maybe take a little bit of a moment of self-care, or just, you know, don't beat myself up after not doing that well on a test, or maybe a little bit of an awkward moment. Because the thing is, we're all doing things that, you know, we might mess up on something, but it's important just to keep moving and focus on the end goal, not exactly all the little details along the way.
Tosh, what do you think about that?
Well, I have a question for the girls. What is the career that you guys want to do? Like, what is right now, like when you're 18, when you graduate, like what are you thinking? I'm curious.
Yeah, for me, I definitely want to study business post-secondary, and obviously I'm not 100% sure where Small Bits of Happiness will be at. Hopefully we're still doing it and it's grown and it's continually growing, so hopefully I can continue on with Small Bits of Happiness, but definitely I want to study business and work in business.
I'm not exactly sure what I want to study in university, or, you know, what I truly want to do with my life, but I think I definitely want to always be working on Small Bits of Happiness. It gives me so much happiness, and it's just something that we've built from the ground up, and it's like our own baby. It's just so It's so amazing, and I think I definitely want to work on it when I'm older.
You guys are giving me like motivational speaker vibes. Like, I'm just like, wow, I want to listen to everything you got to say. Like, I want to follow. I also want to know, like, so an advice that you can give to, you know, our audience and to us, or like what techniques or like little advice would you say like that you do to give yourself happiness? Like the top thing that you do that you recommend everybody to do?
So for me, that would have to be just focusing on what I'm excited for. So oftentimes we can get really in the moment if something is not going our way, or if we're stuck in a rut, stuck in a routine, just thinking about what's good that's coming up. So whether that's, you know, it doesn't have to be major, whether that's eating a tasty dinner, or maybe it's looking forward to, you know, coming home after a long day at school or work, or maybe it's looking forward to, for us, summer holidays are coming up. So that just like always finding something to look forward to, because you know, sometimes that is just a little extra piece of push and motivation that you need to get to yourself through a tough moment.
I think for me, it's having the everything happens for a reason mentality, because I know that there's been moments where I'm like, why is this happening to me? I really didn't want this to happen, but in the end, it actually leads to something more positive happening. And I think just going on with, okay, this happened, I'm not the most happy about it, but in the end, it will benefit me.
Like learning from mistakes.
Exactly. And just kind of taking that and being able to move forward. And on top of that, I think sleep is so incredibly important. I know that oftentimes, especially us as teenagers, we kind of like, we want to stay up as long as possible, because I mean, that is how our bodies are supposed to work as teenagers. But the problem is that with school and everything, and sleep is just so incredibly important. I love to sleep in personally, and I find that whenever I get more sleep, I can function better. So on school days, sometimes I'll like take a nap after school, because if I'm tired and I really need a break.
Yeah, what about you? What do you like that brings you a small bit of happiness?
Well, for me, I like when I wake up in the mornings, I like to just write like 10 things that I'm happy about, like that I did yesterday or that I'm planning on doing today, and kind of go out throughout the day, like, you know, being grateful of like things that have happened to me or that I've done, or like music projects that I'm doing, and, you know, comments that I see. So it's kind of like little small reminders of like the positive things in life. That's what keeps me going and keeps me with this energy that I always have during the day, is kind of feeding off what the universe is giving.
Oh, I love that.
That's amazing.
See, and Matt, my numbers make me happy. That's one thing that I really like, because it's one of those things where, you know, when I do my numbers each day, and, you know, right now it's at 53 million views and counting. That's what makes me happy.
Oh my God, Brian, right by hand. Like that makes it even more like You know,
I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning because it takes me an hour and a half to do the numbers each day because the numbers grow each day. And I'm like, everybody goes, well, how do you get these numbers? I'm like, what? You don't have these numbers? You don't check your reels? Our reels kick butt, on Facebook and Instagram and everything like that, and alignable. And, we have over 12 million, viewers out of Tennessee and counting, and so when I'm doing these things, I'm like, that gets me going. And I play in some easy listening music. But when I think about Matt, I'm like, Matt, when do you get a chance to sleep? Because I know I always have this in my mind. I know I always have this in my mind. He's go, I gonna play poker tonight. He's like, yeah, I'll probably get there. Maybe I'll go at 5. Maybe I'll go at 1 in the morning. I'm like, when do you sleep? I still can't figure that out.
Well, a lot of the time, I mean, you saw me at that party where we were just up till 11 o'clock in the morning. I have the girlfriend, I have the kids, I play poker, I run the charity events. It's like you got to work hard and play hard. I mean, back to what they were saying, like we're overachievers. We're going to stress ourselves out. There's a reason we're building these brands, these companies, why we've built what we built. And for me, I mean, we're going to hit $5 million raised for these charities when we do our St. Jude event in September if we don't hit that earlier. So just knowing that, even if I'm missing a little bit of sleep, the trade-off is more money. More money is going to these charities. I'm working a little bit harder. I get to spend a little bit more time with my son. I'll sleep when I'm dead. It's fine. I don't quite get as much sleep as I should. I do miss the days of being a 25-year-old poker pro who hadn't started a charity yet and was single and traveling around. And I just woke up when I felt like waking up, figured out where I was going to go play poker for the day. It was a fun and easy lifestyle, but it was unfulfilling. I have to be kind of pushing myself and pushing the envelope and trying to do a little bit more than I should be able to in order to keep myself happy and stay fulfilled. And like you said, I mean, we can't beat ourselves up too much over our failures. We have to work really hard. And one of the main things that I've learned is trying to make sure that you use all of your failures and your net negatives and those bad experiences and those events that didn't go well as your motivation, your learning experience. Like we can sit here and pat ourselves on the back over the things that went right, and we should from time to time, but we're going to yield a lot more positive results in the long run and plug a lot more of our leaks and make a lot less mistakes by focusing on the negative experiences and not beating ourselves up over them too much, trying to prepare our best for what we need to do, and then just giving everything an honest look post and figuring out what we could have done better in our respective fields and just trying to do better each time. I've done 63 charity poker events now, and I keep making notes on how we can do it better. I see little things go wrong or the perfectionist in me comes out. I'm like, oh, there's a hair on the floor. But, like those little things where if we had different sign holders, if we printed the signage differently, if we displayed it differently, if we marketed to a different demographic, if we found a different way to get the word out there, we might have been able to raise another $1,000 for the food bank, another $5,000 for St. Jude, another 10 grand for Make-A-Wish, whatever it is. And trying to find those avenues is a lot of fun for me, and trying to make sure that we give people the best experience possible at our events, but also make sure that the focus is on the bottom line for these charities.
Hey, Rebel, if we have a chance, let's show Matt's trailer and then followed by the girls' photos. So I love stuff like that, because it reminds me of like gifting suites. So, hey, Matt, I decided this when I left, because when did I last see you? Was it February, I think? Because time's just going. Or it might have been January. I don't remember, but it was one of the things.
Can't even keep track anymore.
I know.
Valentine's Day, I must tell you after that. Or it might have been the beginning of March.
See, we don't even know because we're so busy, because he was just, I know he was in Miami, and I think he was in were you just in Boston or something? I can't even keep track of where
Pennsylvania,
he
New
is.
Jersey, Michigan. We just did a charity poker event on Thursday for Community Food Bank in New Jersey at Borgata in Atlantic City. I went to visit my mom in Reading, Pennsylvania, because she's still recovering from a stroke she had in January. Went with Katie for a work gig in Michigan. I've been all over the place. I've slowed it down a little bit. I used to spend 9 months a year just traveling country in the world. I've even lived in Costa Rica and Amsterdam for a little bit when I was continuing to play online poker after they outlawed it in the U.S. right before I started the charity. So I've slowed down a little bit, but still can't seem to stay in one place for long.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's not like we really want to, but we do it. All right, ladies, let's talk about this because I love this. When I went by their booth, it just stopped me, and they were so gracious. They were so kind, and then talking to the mom, I'm like, I gotta have these guys on the show because I knew Howard. I knew right away Howard would have loved it, and Tosh would have loved it, and Terry needs it.
Awesome. Yes. So this is a picture of a card from our happiness wellness activity box, mission Small Bits of Happiness. So we have 100 unique, fun, simple activities to do to feel happier daily. So there's the stack. And the idea is that you do a card a day. They're all rooted in the science of happiness. And you do a card per day to build happiness habits, learn what brings happiness, as well as to connect parents with their kids and their teenagers, really just incorporate that habit of building up happiness and doing something that brings happiness daily, because habits take roughly 66 days to form. And so by the end of the 100 missions that we have, then by the end of that, you've built yourself the habit of doing something every day that brings you happiness. And this game we just actually launched on our website today. It's the kids edition. So we had so many requests. We simplified the activities, added 4 adorable character illustrations, and this is specifically designed for ages 6 to 12. So it's a little bit for the younger demographic. The other game, Mission Small Bits of Happiness, just the regular edition, is for 12 years up to 112. Like, there's really no age limit on this one. And
yeah, we have it right here.
We've got a game right here with us.
Those are so cute. Wow. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so the idea is, I'll show you. You pull it out by the little ribbon. It's got a notebook because there's a number of different topics.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different types of genre of questions. Some of them are a bit more reflective, which is also great for the notebook. Like, name 3 things that you're grateful for today, or, what is a message that you would like to give
Exactly. And this one's kind of related to Matt's tip. It's actually, think about a recent mistake you made, big or small. What can you learn? Write it down in your notebook or a piece of paper, because reflecting on our mistakes and then learning from them can definitely bring us happiness, because we often take our mistakes and feel so bad or guilty about them, but when we can walk away with something tangible or something that we can use to benefit ourselves further, it kind of turns that negativity into a positivity or a small bit of happiness. Yeah.
Hey Matt, what would you say you're grateful for, Sor? And talk about your son, because he's adorable. I think about him a couple times a week, because he left believe it or not, he left a lasting impression on him. I talked about him a couple times on the shows. He's special, and I liked him, and I was glad that you got a chance to bring him down to Toy Fest and just have fun, because he's a great dad too, and that's the first thing I noticed that he is.
Thank you. That boy is what I'm most grateful for in this world. My ex and I broke up when I was right around 33, 34, after we were engaged and together for like 5 years. And I kind of wasn't sure if I was going to have a kid after that. It was really kind of sad about it. So I was grateful to have him to begin with. I'm grateful to be able to have the jobs that I have. I sort of had to build my own dream job. I mean, there were people running around as professional poker players, but I sort of got into it around 2004 when it was all over ESPN and people first sort of realized that it was a possibility, and I chased it, and fortunately it worked out for me, and I was able to sort of parlay that into creating the job that I wanted to have, because from my experience raising money in college and raising money for Habitat with it, I was like, wouldn't it be fun if I somehow was able to just kind of travel around the country doing all these different events for different charities? And slowly but surely the pieces fell in place, and eventually it just kind of worked out in a nice serendipitous way where the Golden Knights hit me up, because it was sort of one of my like lofty, almost reach goals that you know that you're not going to achieve was like, what if the New York Rangers let me do an event with them, because they were my team back in the day and still are. I mean, I'm also a Knights fan now because I've been in Vegas since 2008, but to have the Knights reach out to me, and I didn't even have to try to make that contact. I was super grateful for that, for the support that I've had from the poker community, the venues, people that are on my board of directors. Some of the biggest names in poker have gotten behind this, help us raise money, put their names behind it so that everyone knows that it's legit. And I'm super grateful for my girlfriend. I have a lot to be grateful for. I have a pretty amazing life, and I saw, like, I'm a good guy and I work hard, but it's still kind of surreal how some of it falls in place sometimes. Just for things like the Golden Knights thing to just fall in my lap, and just the way that my life has unfolded has been really cool, and definitely I've been very, very lucky along the way, despite all my preparation and hard work. Like, it took a little bit of luck at certain times, and I've certainly found it every time I needed it.
You know, Howard, talk about what brings you luck, what makes you happy, because Howard is always happy. He's the dapper, happy Howard Wiggins. And, and
Well,
tell him a little about your dad too.
Well, I wanted to tell Mercedes and Anastasia the thing that I think is important that you're doing that I didn't do when I was young is your connections through your life. The people you surround yourself is who you become. So look for people you admire, you want to be around, you want to make a connection to and learn from. And people come in and out of your life for a reason, and realize that it's not your fault. It may just be destined that they go out of your life, but keep it important to stay in contact, because you never know what's going to happen to somebody, how somebody can help you, how you can help them. It's just so important when you, especially when you're a teenager and you're more wrapped around your own self and you're not thinking about others. It's what you're doing, and going for helping others, but it's also helping you in the long run too, because it's creating you a life of a future by the people that you meet now. I think socialization is the number one thing that keeps me happy, because when I go dancing and I make people smile and I smile, I can't help but be happy. It's a choice. It's a choice. You can be sad, you can be happy. It's your choice. So like you said, do things that make you happy, and don't
Right.
worry about, same thing.
Absolutely. I think so much of the time we don't even realize, just like you exactly said, Howard, we don't even realize that we can control our own happiness and that we can do things that make us happy, or we can do things that make us feel worse about life or about ourselves and more in our own head. And so I really love that. And your advice of, people come in and out of your life and it's just, it's okay, is so important. And especially as teenagers, when I think friendships are constantly like switching up all of the time, that's something that everybody needs to remember.
Yeah, and for sure, surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like is so, so important, because as soon as you start being around people that you realize kind of bring you down, you are going to be less happy, and you're also going to be acting in a manner that you feel like isn't true to you.
Yeah.
So finding those people
Such good advice.
you want to be like is so important.
Hey, Tosh, talk about what makes you happy. And, because when I see you singing and dancing and writing your, I call them hit songs, that I know it makes you happy. But what really makes you happy besides jumping out of a plane?
Oh man, that was crazy. I still think about that moment, Cinco de Mayo moment of mine, jumping out of a skydiving. Anyway, what makes me happy? Honestly, like, music is a big part of just the way that I'm able to express myself. So being able to write and see my projects go through stages and see them bloom, it makes me really happy and very proud of myself, because it's been a long, painful journey, and I honestly wouldn't change it for anything in the world, because it has made me who I am today as an artist, as a person, as a human being, and I'm very happy about the struggles and the accomplishments that I've gone through in my life. I think it's very important to take both of those and kind of, embrace it and keep on trying to be the best version of yourself. So, that is what makes me happy. Just continuing and seeing my projects develop and getting them to places that I've never seen before. Like last weekend, I had a performance in Miami, and I'm very hard on myself when it comes to performances. Like I've done 20-minute performances, which was that, and it was honestly such an amazing show, and I was so proud. I was literally practicing like for 2 weeks straight on every night, 2 hours, because I was determined to go through a 20-minute show dancing and not like get out of breath, which honestly has happened to me a couple of times before, and it's been a little embarrassing. And you know, I kind of just grabbed those moments and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna let this happen again. And it was all about perfection and practice and practice and practice and practice, and it came out really amazing. A lot of people loved the show. I had people dancing, and it was a tough crowd. I'm not gonna lie, it was an older crowd that's used to more salsa, merengue songs than kind of my urban sound, but they really acclimated really well and felt that energy that I was giving off. So seeing that bloom and be successful, gotta say, makes me really happy.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. Hey, Matt, talk about your charity again, how people can reach out, how they can help and support.
For sure. You can check us out, CharitySeriesOfPoker.org. We're on Twitter at the CSOP, and then we're just Charity Series of Poker on Facebook and Instagram. We have events. We have all of our upcoming events posted on the website. We have more coming on every month. We're always in the middle of booking more and more. We need sponsors, players, anyone who wants to donate items. We have corporate sponsors that donate tournament prizes along with silent auction items, and anyone who wants more information can check out the website or send an email to info@CharitySeriesOfPoker.org.
I'll grab some things from Tennessee when I'm there, and then I have some things I'll donate to you guys too, because I love the stuff that I see what you guys are doing. You know, Mercedes and Anastasia, talk about how people can reach out to you in any music. And Matt, I'm going to go back to you on music and any movies that you like also. Go ahead, Anastasia, and Mercedes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to learn more about Small Bits of Happiness or check out any of our free daily happiness content, our website is smallbitsofhappiness.com, and our Instagram is small.bits.of.happiness. It's basically Small Bits of Happiness with just dots in between. And yeah, I think those would be the two best places. Our podcast, Hack Your Happiness, is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and as well as on YouTube on Small Bits of Happiness. So yeah, Hack Your Happiness is our podcast. And yeah, I think those are all the best places to check us out.
Any favorite movies or music that you like also?
I don't know. There's so many good movies out there.
I would have to say, lately I've really liked Taylor Swift's new album.
Of course you did. You're a Swiftie.
Like her album. And then I don't know, I like Ariana Grande's new album as well. And then I'm really excited. We're gonna check out your album as well, Natasha. We're gonna or your music as well.
Oh yes, check it out. It's all in Spanish, but you're gonna dig it. You're gonna dig it. It's a lot of fun. Check out my music videos. I think you guys will definitely enjoy them.
For sure. And movie wise, personally, I love like I don't know. I love so many movies. We have such a wide variety of movies that we all watch. So I think,
yeah. I mean, we obviously love the Barbie movie. That one came out almost a year ago.
So of course you did.
What else did you like?
Oh shoot.
I really like all the Harry Potter movies as well. They just remind me of when I was little and when I was younger, and they make me
listen to her when she was younger.
When I was like 8.
Don't worry, they're gonna have prequels to the Harry Potter series coming up. Oh, and the next time you guys, I can't remember where you live, but the next time you're in Los Angeles, take the Warner Brothers Studios tour, and I'll give you information on that because we just did something for the Turner Classic Movie Film Festival. We had a private tour for that, and I didn't go. I sent my camera crew, but they had a great time, and I love what they were showing on that. And that would be
amazing.
Great. Yeah,
it'll be fun. It's a new tour. They started in April 18th, which is good. Hey Matt, before you get out of here, you got 4 minutes left. Favorite films, movies that you like when you get a chance, because you're a busy guy, and what keeps you going music wise? Because I've been playing Van Halen, talking about love, and St. Jude's, St. Jude from They're from the Beatles, the live version. That kind of that's kind of like my coffee in a way. I don't drink coffee. That's my coffee.
That just reminded me of P. Diddy and Get Him to the Greek. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll brush my teeth to it. Let's see. I mean, it's cliche to say Shawshank. I got to go with Rounders as one of my favorites. It helped with create the poker boom. It came out a few years before the poker boom, but it got a lot of people a lot more into the game music-wise. I just saw System of a Down again at Sick New World. They're definitely one of my favorites. I listen to a lot of rap. Kid Cudi is easily one of my favorites as well. Incubus, definitely another one of my all-time
Love Hurts. One of my favorite songs, Love Hurts.
Yeah, and Tool. I finally got to see a Perfect Circle perform recently. Tool's my all-time favorite live performers. So I'll go with those as mine. All
right. We got the 3 minutes. All right, Howard, what's getting you going this way until I get to Tennessee?
Well, I tell you what, I'm fixing up the house even more so. Beauty makes me happy, and it has ever since I was a child. I mean, when I was 16, I bought a Copeland Biz dog for $150. I still have it on my bar. It's just, there's beauty everywhere you go, and people don't see it, and I don't understand why they don't, and I do, but I've always been like that. It just that's why I love art. That's why I love being an interior designer. There's beauty everywhere, but people don't even look at it, or recognize it. So that makes me happy.
And how people can watch out to you? How can they find you, Howard?
Howard Wiggins Facebook, Howard Wiggins Twitter, and of course on movies, reviews, and more.
So we yesterday we ended up. I got the text from Eileen out of New York. We ended up on Variety Entertainment News. We're 17th in the country on summer hot picks or something like that. Right. I'm glad that we end up on the list. I'll take it. They're good bragging rights, but it made me happy because they send them to me right away. I'm like, the summer didn't even end yet, but I'll take summer picks for hosts, for our show. That makes me happy. And then Tosh, I was thinking of the girls of this Wonderama. I want to see if I can hook them up with Charles and Charles' son, because I think that would be great. Wonderama, that kind of goes to what they're doing, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yes. They are perfect for Wonderama.
Tell them what you did performing for Wonderama real quick.
Yeah, so this was, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. We interviewed the president of Wonderama on Movie Reviews and More, and he invited me to perform in Times Square for their season 7 taping. And that was my first time ever performing in Times Square. I never even thought I would even get there, so quickly. And it was quite like such a humbling experience, and it was one of my top moments is that performance in Times Square, because I took my mom and my grandma, we all cried, we were like, oh my god, it was very nice and it was beautiful. And all their episodes are all about telling kids that it's okay to not take the route of being a doctor, being those the jobs that, kids should go for. It's kind of explore entertainment. If you want to do something entertainment, do it and have fun with it. So you guys would go hand in hand with Wonderama. It's all about the happiness of the kids and just doing what you really want to do.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That's amazing. And congratulations on your performance. Wow.
That sounds absolutely amazing.
Tosh, give you social media links real quick.
Yeah, so it's Vocally Tosh on all social media platforms. And my music, you can find it on all streaming platforms. You can find me on YouTube. Check out my music videos, which are a lot of fun, a lot of bright colors, dancers. I'm dancing on it. Keep a lookout, because we are releasing new music next month. And I do have my newest single with a Colombian singer. So check that out. It's called Dale Dale. And keep up with me, because there's a lot of cool, fun projects that are going on. Oh, that's the cover art of the collaboration that I have. So check that out.
And like I say with this, so again, list. Oh, Jerry Lee Lewis, which was I actually like the documentary on Netflix. The Men Till We Fall, obviously on Apple. I mean, that's on Apple TV too. And then obviously Happy Hack. It's always about happiness, because there's too many, last week I had 3 people pass away. This past weekend, I had 3 people have heart attacks. So I was like, this is perfect timing for all of this. and also reach out to what Matt is doing, because he's doing some wonderful stuff with that. That's why I always say Giving
Thank you.
Tuesday at the beginning of the show on your favorite charities. Always support those. So I want to thank everybody for coming on, because Matt's a busy guy. You ladies are busy. Obviously, Howard, he's got to dance someplace, and who knows what Tasha's going to do. I'm going to bed. But it's one of these things where I always say this: have a good night tonight, a better day tomorrow. You see someone who needs a smile, please give them one of yours. I'm Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More, and we will see you next week.